Have you ever lost someone dear, a loved one? You know, some losses are acceptable, easier to process. Like when my parents passed away, they were both very elderly. And sure, it was heartbreaking when they passed away, and I had to process that grief, but you could more celebrate their life because they lived such a full life. But man, when a loved one passes away way too young and way too suddenly, it's just really hard to understand, isn't it? Really hard to process that grief. And when it's your child, that's tough. It's not impossible. At first I thought it was impossible. 3 years ago when he first died, when my son first died, I thought, oh man, there's no way I'm going to get through this. I didn't want to, but I have other children and grandchildren and that I had to rally and be there for and everything. But why I'm sharing this is I just want to share with you some of the ways that I have found that helped me survive, and it's being out here in nature. Just the connection I feel with nature. I'm a Christian, so I believe in God, and when I'm out here, I just feel like this deep connection with God and with my son, and I just believe and feel like his presence is always around me. He's always with me. I can feel it. He's sent me messages, if you want to call it. Yeah, I call it messages. Just little things throughout the years I've found or come across, or things that have just happened with absolutely no other explanation. And it's when I'm out in nature that comes. And so when I'm feeling really, really deep in my grief and my sorrow, the best place for me to go is out in nature, be surrounded by the woods and the river. And it doesn't matter the season to me. I live in northern Michigan, so in the wintertime I just go out and I get absorbed in the peacefulness of the snow in the woods, in the winter solitude. I don't know. It just has brought me so much healing and so much strength. I just urge you and encourage you, if you're suffering with just this heavy burden of grief, that you would find a way to get out and just connect with nature. Be present. Keep your ears and your eyes and your heart open just to the raw beauty of it, the peacefulness it brings and everything. Just, I don't know, I've gone out in nature and in my kayak on the river and in the woods, and I'll just break down crying. I'll just fall to the ground in a heap, just crying, sobbing, wailing. And then I've been in my boat before and I'll just start crying. And I'm sure if people are in the woods listening to me, they probably think that I'm in distress, which I am, but I probably have freaked some people out, but I don't care. But afterwards, it's just like you just can release it. And there's no judgment. You can just be yourself, be raw, be real, because there's nobody around. I mean, where I'm at, I'm, deep in the woods or on the river. And I can just scream and shout. And a lot of times I'll call to my son just to hear my voice echo, or just to call to him. David! And then I listen. And I just envision him answering me like I just heard a bird song. Answering me somehow, some way. And it just helps. It just helps get rid of some of this grief and this pain. You just can't keep it bottled up because it's not good. I tried to keep it bottled up to protect my other loved ones, and didn't want them to see me struggling so much, and I had to be strong for them. And so I come out here and I can just be real. I can be raw. I can be as raw as nature. My grief can just be as raw and real and loud or quiet, whatever it needs to be that day. And I have found so much healing. And I felt so much connectedness, like I said. And that's how I deal with my grief, with this grief. I don't know how other people do it, but this is how I do it. And I just want to share that with others and encourage you to get out and just be. You know, I want to encourage you, if you're grieving the loss of a loved one, reach out to a trusted friend, reach out to a trusted counseling, reach out to a support group. When my son first died, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just hated the world. I hated everything, and that wasn't the best thing for me. But I had really close friends. I have a very wonderful, loving, supportive husband that was at my side the whole time. I had good friends, and that's what I needed the most. I needed to be around people that I trusted, that I felt safe with, that I could just cry and scream and throw things or just be silent. I didn't need to be around anyone that offered me advice or offered me suggestions. I just need to be around my friends and people that just sat there and listened and hugged me and held me and just listened. That's really what I needed in my time of grief when my son first died. And I just encourage you, along with nature, I have found so much healing and strength with loved ones and close friends. And I would just encourage you to find those people and speak out, and don't be afraid. When my son first died, after a while, I'm like, oh, I got to quit talking about this. And, you know, I don't want to be the person. I don't want people to be afraid to be around me because I'm going to fall apart and talk about my son. And, you know, tough shit. You got to find the people that's okay to do, because, you know, losing a loved one, especially a child, that's the worst pain that you will ever experience on earth. And you have to be around people that allow you to be you, to allow you to grieve openly, to talk about your loved one and not shy away from it. And that has helped me so much over these years and continues to. And part of my journey now that I feel is I just want to share the grief process, share my story with others, because when my son died, I knew 2 other women that had lost their children, their sons, at a young age, and I just saw them now, you know, years after, and I thought, oh, look how strong they came through, look how they handled it, and they've come out on the other side. They're so strong. And I was dying inside, and I just felt weak, and I just didn't know where to turn, and I just judged myself and how I was dealing with it, and that was so wrong. Please don't judge yourself. Everyone's grief is so different. Your grief is totally different than my grief. And my grief is different than my friend's grief, and how we handle it and what we need at the time. Don't judge yourself on other people and what you see. And all I can do is say what I've experienced, what I've done, and to share with you, not to tell anyone what they need to do or how to do it, because that is not my purpose at all. My purpose is to share my story in hopes that it allows other people to see what I did, the steps I took, and that's it. I mean, it helped me when I would read a book or talk to other women that had lost a child. It did help me to glean little pieces of wisdom from them or sparks of hope from them. It did help. So that's my purpose and what I'm working on right now, because mental health, depression, grief, trauma is so near and dear to me. And I'm working on something right now to share with others about my grieving process and how I've dealt with trauma and just in hopes to share my story with others. And I hope to wrap it up and launch it here pretty soon. But I had to take a break from that and just be with today, be with this date today and this week leading up to my son's birthday. But I just know how hard this is. All of it is just so ungodly hard, and I just want to share with you that you are not alone. You're going to feel like you're alone. I did. And I wanted to be alone. I just wanted to be utterly alone with my pain and my grief. And I was for a moment. And that's okay. That's what I needed. That's what Cammie needed. But now I'm to the point now where I want to share my story and I want to talk about it. And that's what I'm doing today. Celebrating my son's day of birth. And part of that for me is sharing it with others to maybe give hope to others. And that's just what I want to do. Thank you so much for joining me on this paddle. It means a lot to me that I was able to share it with whoever's watching. And I just hope, it's my deepest, deepest hope that if you're watching this and you're in the midst of heavy grief, my thoughts and my prayers and my love go out to you. It really does, because I know firsthand the deep darkness of it and the pain. And I just want you to know that you are not alone.